It's a live edition of Connor's Takes on a Wednesday evening where roughly around 2:30 in the afternoon. It was a quiet day, it was quite chilly over here in Buffalo. And then, we're all doing our own thing. I'm doing schoolwork. I'm like, this is cool, this is great, waiting for some news, and then the Bills just take over the internet. That's just literally what it was. There was
Yep.
no like, who cares at that point was the Sabres traded for a nice, good young defenseman. No one give a care in the world for that at that moment. No one cared about what the Seahawks were doing, what the Eagles were doing. No one cared what the Miami Dolphins might be doing. Everyone cared about what the Bills are doing because they almost cut almost every player on their team that you just know at this point. So we're going to dive into that. We're going to really, for the most part of this show, we're going to really delve in to different perspectives of what the Bills are going to do now and what the Bills are going to do maybe 2 months from now in free agency or even next week because next Wednesday they can blow up the internet again. We're going to start with that. Then we're going to go into some of our more of our Connor's takes feel with a couple like worst to first, and then we'll go into FSU propaganda. Obviously, if we have some time for that tonight, based off how long we go with the Bills. All right, let's start really first off with maybe the release that you weren't expecting to get across your screen today.
Mitch Morse. That was the only one that made me go, What is Bean doing?" Every other release, I was like, "All right, you know what? Okay, I can see it. I can see it." Then they released Mitch Morse,
Right.
and I go, "Huh? You had to release Mitch Morse? I mean, what's wrong with Mitch Morse exactly? What?" And every one of the other releases, I fully expected. Deontay Hardy, I expected. Jordan Poyer, I expected. Tre'Davious White, I also expected. It sucks. I really feel bad for them because, at the end of the day, they were very loved among the fan base, but the
Right.
NFL is an unfortunate business sometimes. So with all of those releases, it's just kind of crazy, really. And when they released Mitch Morse, I was like, "Excuse me? Why are we releasing Mitch Morse?" But
Yeah.
I think the move that was made along the offensive line, I think what was it? They were going to transition Connor McGovern over to center.
Yeah, that's what it seems like it's going to be now with oh man, with Ryan Bates traded because that Mitch Morse trade what releasing it was going to be expected if Bates wasn't traded, right? Say like the Bills, let's go a few days ago where they say they didn't trade Ryan Bates. Well, then today makes sense for if they didn't cut, if they would cut Mitch Morse. Like that would make sense then, because then Spates easily slides in to the safe into the center role, and it really doesn't debacle the offensive line as much, and you're not losing much. But now you're without Bates, who was a versatile guy, and then now you decide you're going to release Mitch Morse because obviously cap reasons. Now you're down two offensive linemen. One was your starting center, and your second one was a depth, versatile guy. It makes sense, but it doesn't make sense because this Bills offensive line was one of the best in the league last year.
Hmm.
And that's what that's the only sign releasing, except maybe, you know, Poyer was getting older and it was expected.
Hmm.
It was coming. He didn't have a great year last year. It was going to happen sometime soon. But then why are you releasing Saran Neal then
Hmm.
to only have one safety? on your team.
Safety, yeah, safety now becomes one of the biggest needs of the team. And it just makes you think what are they possibly going to do in the free agent market, especially now
Mhm.
with Von Miller's it technically wasn't a restructure. I think it was basically he just redid his whole contract. Oh, wait a minute, stop. The
Yeah.
Bills did a thing. Bills really did another thing. I knew they would while we were live. The Bills and Mitch Trubisky have agreed to a deal for him to return to Buffalo.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Von Miller for a second, and now here we are, we're breaking more news.
Yeah,
Here
this
we are. It looks like Mitchell Trubisky is
Mitch
coming to
Trubisky is
Buffalo.
coming back to Buffalo.
The irony. You end an
Wow.
era. We'll get into the end of the era in a second, but you end
Mhm.
an era, and you were saying Mitchell Trubisky was here 2 years ago with some of these same players, and you say, "Hey, let's lighten the load a little bit. It's been a tough day. We're gonna bring back Mitchell Trubisky." Great
Yeah,
job, guys.
it was rumored. Like, it was rumored for the longest time, and now all of a sudden,
True.
here we are. We're back again with Mitch Trubisky in Buffalo. Well, now everybody that, had a mock draft with a project quarterback in, like, the 7th round, throw your drafts away because they don't need a
Oh,
backup
man.
quarterback now. Now they got one, Mitch Trubisky. But
This is
it's
I
still
just
heaven
realized it's
forbid.
March.
Yeah, let's
It's
just
March?
still pray that Josh Allen doesn't go down or we're still in trouble. Let's just be for real right now. Anyway,
Yeah.
that was
It's
something
March
else.
Madness time.
And we have
Oh, man.
cleared so much cap. I think where are we at now? I think it's
As of right
just
now, you ready for this?
yeah, yeah, I'm ready for this if you've got it.
36,000,000 as of right now. As of right now, the Bills have cleared $36,000,000 in cap space.
God.
But that's not including the Von Miller yet. That's not including the Von Miller and his cap savings. You add in Von Miller, it's roughly around 45,000,000, maybe closer to 46, closer to 44, somewhere in that range. You're getting about anywhere from 40, you're saving about 44 to 46,000,000
Mhm.
dollars in cap space. I'm running with the number of 45 right now, just for for signing players and reasons. But actually, that was including Josh Allen. Sorry. You have to include in Josh Allen restructure if to make it 45 because Josh Allen, I believe, saves you right around 22,000,000 or I believe, right? 22,000,000? Something like that.
Roughly.
I'm
It
re-looking at my looking at my calculations here and I'm debating if these numbers are correct. But I believe right now, if you do a Josh Allen restructure, like say within the next 15 minutes, the Bills will have about 45-ish million dollars to play with right now.
yeah,
That's
that's
saving. So that gives you about 25,000,000 to spend.
mhm. See, and that's not even the only thing we can still do. I mean, yeah,
Right.
you're very close to being cap compliant without needing to
Right.
restructure Josh, but you
Right.
restructure Josh anyway, you extend Teron Johnson,
Mhm.
you extend Dion Dawkins, you save
Right.
even more cap. Look at
Mhm.
how high the ceiling could possibly be for the Bills in terms of overall cap space. This whole deal, all the moves made today, and the best part about all that being the Von Miller restructure or the reworked contract, my God, we are
Jeez.
players in free agency now. Actually,
Right.
real deal players in free agency. Who would
Right.
have thought we'd be saying that a couple of weeks ago? Let's be totally for real.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody
Totally
was
for
like,
real.
"Oh yeah, Bills are going to do it. Bills are going to do things in free agency."
Mhm. Yeah, that's at this point, I think the splash move if you're talking Bills right now, you're talking the splash move is probably defense right now. I mean, get it you could go, with 25,000,000. You could go you could go wide receiver and sign Hollywood Brown for sure. I
Mm,
mean, I think his cap number, I think is 14. I could be wrong, But I would have to look at Spot Track again. I believe we're looking, if you want to do Hollywood Brown, it would be 14 million. You can spread that over in the next couple of years. He's young enough where you can go 3 years, 14 a year, which would be fine, which would be within the range of the Bills signing.
Mhm.
But
Oh,
I would
absolutely.
expect I would expect the Bills' splash move to happen on defense, probably preferably safety at this point. I was looking at the position Jordan Poyer was at because, I believe DeMar plays free safety, and then because he went in for Micah Hyde, so that means he's free safety. Jordan Poyer is your strong safety. Look at the available
Whoa,
uh
whoa, 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 stop, stop, they did another thing. Paul, stop.
what?
In addition to Buffalo's secondary, Bills reached agreement with Taylor Rapp on a 3-year deal worth $14.5 million. God, they're they are cooking. Bean is cooking with gas. Let's go.
What is okay, so I wonder if some of these trade I wonder if some of these signings were supposed to come out yesterday now because you when you yesterday, as in it was Tuesday, you would think about, like, you get all these, franchise tags, all these releases, and the Bills are like, "Well, we have a video coming up at 7 o'clock tonight. We're not doing that. We want to promote the big buffaloes." And let me tell you, big buffaloes, 16 feet. Make 16 feet buffaloes in front of the Bill Stadium. That'd be great. Awesome. Make it happen. Make them bigger with emotion. Make a bit steam coming out. Like, Brendan Bean right now must have ate, like, 3 habanero peppers today or something, as he's spicy hot today.
Right. Oh my god. Like this is just we're going insane now. You know what? Big Baller Bean is alive right now. That's the
Jeez.
only that's the only triple B acronym that I will accept right now. Big Baller
Jeez.
Bean cuz he is cooking with gas. I don't even want to say gas. Man is cooking with something a whole lot more volatile than gas. Taylor
So,
Rapp is locked in for 3 years.
the
And
thing is,
that's
I have Twitter open on my on my computer here, and I'm not even looking at it yet. I mean, I should just stare randomly in an awkward position and just look at Twitter and as we keep going. But we have a show to continue to go. Let's let's say the Bills let's let's say the Bills before we get into possible signings, because I have a list of potential players where the Bills can sign, if they have 25 million to spend. We'll get that to a second. But then you got let's refresh everyone's brain for a second, because there's still going to be more news probably to come out. I mean, within the next 5 minutes, because it seems like it's going to happen.
What's
All
next?
right,
Are we
the
gonna trade for
Bills.
Justin Jefferson?
That happens. Oh, cut Jordan Poyer today. Bills saved 5.7 million on that. Bills cut Mitch Morse, saved 8 million on that. The Bills cut Saran Neal. Now we will leave DeMar Hamlin as the only active safety on the Buffalo Bills roster for 2024. Bills will save 3 million on that. Trey White is a post June 1 signing. Sorry, release. The
Mhm.
Bills will save 10 million on that. Bills restructure Russell Douglas, will save 2.5 million on his contract. Vaughn would be about 8.6 on his restructure, probably closer to 9 when the numbers finally get finalized. Whew. End of an
This has
era.
been a day, hasn't it, Paul?
It's an end of an era of Bills football at One Bills Drive. I mean, there's no Micah
Mhm.
Hyde. There's That's at least the assumption. No Jordan Poyer, no Mitch Morse, and now no more Trey White. Those
Mhm.
were, you could say, the standing blocks of Buffalo Bills football
For
for
years.
the I mean, for the last at least 7 years.
Oh, I mean, it's been a while and man, It's just, you know what? Thinking about Taylor Rapp being extended, you know what? I just tweeted it a second ago when the news broke. That's a wrap on the division for the Buffalo Bills, is what I will remember Taylor Rapp for. And man, he is making me happy tonight. All the cuts have been reasonable. I've been hearing maybe they bring back Mitch Morse on a restructured deal, but with the Connor McGovern move to center, I don't see it
Right.
happening. I think they're
Mm-mm.
just going to move on. Maybe in the later rounds of the draft, they're going to take a project O lineman or two. Who knows? I don't necessarily think they're going to change too much in terms of draft outlook. Now,
Mhm.
free agency outlook, they will change a lot. Let's be completely honest, because
Right.
now they have money to throw around. This just got a whole lot more exciting. Like,
Your
Bean has
free
just
agent
been
dream could
killing it.
just become a reality within the next 24 hours because that's at least what the Bills it seems like. I was talking to people yesterday today. Obviously, no sources. These are just people that I just talk to on a regular basis, just friends in group chats.
Oh, you
I
don't
go,
you don't have sources? Come on, Paul.
I don't. I go, Bean must be going to the Bahamas sometime soon because he's trying to get everything done within one day. It's like, okay, we need to do this is my agenda. I'm going to the Bahamas on March 13th. That's the day I got to get cat compliant. Let's make March 6th, 2024 the day I just decided to do everything. We're going to go to bed tonight and Bean's going to release something at like 12:30 a.m.
Good lord, I could see it happening too.
It be it would be Brandon Bean at night all over again. It just it makes me wonder now where the Bills going to go.
Mhm.
That's the next piece to this. It's like, okay, the Bills are retooling, not rebuilding. They're retooling for the new era
Reloading.
of football. Reloading. 11 picks. They have some money now to spend.
Mhm.
Where are they going? Where do you think? I've been
Well,
talking a lot today. This is your show.
hey,
I'll
that's
give you my players in a second. But where are the Bills going? Where do you see them going? You know, potential signings now with 25 million, you know, potential draft picks, you know, at 28. 28 might not be that sweet spot anymore for receiver. So where do you think the Bills are going?
I mean, 28 might still be a sweet spot for a receiver, let's be honest. I I'm really not even thinking about the Bills right now. I'm actually playing more of a game with looking around at teams that might be releasing players and how that then makes them go, okay, let's change our draft board. Case in point, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mhm.
You know, they've already franchise tagged Josh Allen,
Right.
which means Calvin Ridley might be gone. If Calvin Ridley leaves in free agency, that then means the Jacksonville Jaguars now have a need at wide receiver, and they, of course, pick ahead of us. So that makes you go, all right, now what do we do? Are we going to have to jump the Jacksonville Jaguars to get a premier wide receiver? Or do they keep Calvin Ridley on a team friendly deal and maybe we can stay put? It's a question that's, I don't know. It seems to me from the discussions I've had that Jacksonville will probably do their best to prioritize Josh Allen. Like that's where their priority is. And if that means Calvin Ridley walks, then that means we might have to really consider jumping for a wide receiver at this point. In terms of our free agency, though, I'm not, I'm definitely thinking they might try to plug the hole at safety. They might look around, see who's available on the market.
Mhm.
But I also think wide receiver is still going to be a very big area that they look at. Of course, now Mike Evans is not an option. Even if you thought about him being an option. Now with having money, he is no longer an option. So
Mhm.
at this point, you have to pivot, but you don't have to worry now so much about the bottom of the barrel wide receivers that you're just filling out for depth. Now you can actually start looking at some wide receivers and going, oh my, maybe now you could actually take like someone with more of a mediocre contract, not someone bottom of the barrel cheap. As a matter of fact, yeah, I'm gonna wind up saying all of this, and then watch, they're gonna re-sign Gabe Davis. Watch. You know it's gonna happen. They're gonna do something
No,
crazy.
don't speak that.
Hey,
Don't
I'm
speak that
not
nonsense.
hey, I'm just saying, they're gonna do something crazy. But, right now, I still think they're gonna be in the market for another safety. Absolutely. They might even be in the market for more help on the offensive line as well. It's going to get interesting, and I really can't wait. Like, I cannot wait to see what they do now that they actually have some money to play around with in free agency. Is it all about to come to fruition? Are they really about to steal Javon Holland from the Miami Dolphins? Maybe. Yes, no. That would be amazing. Let's be completely honest. But if we have not seen the last of Bean at this point. I am certain of it. Like, let's just go over everything that Bean has done today, okay? This has been
Mhm.
the craziest. So, obviously, release Trey, Jordan Poyer, Mitch Morse, Deontay Hardy, Siran Neal, and Niam Hines, restructured Rasul, and completely redid Von Miller's contract, signed quarterback Mitchell Trubisky, which, okay, I guess. I mean, we could have done a little better at the backup quarterback position if you ask me, but he's got familiarity with the system, so I'll take it. Re signed Taylor Rapp, re signed David
Mhm.
Edwards to a 2-year deal, and then re-signed Matt Hawk. I don't know how you say the punter's last
Hack.
name. Hack. Okay,
Hack.
yeah, that was a questionable signing. Why did we re-sign this guy? I
That
thought
just
our
came underneath everything.
yeah, I thought Sam Martin was doing a good job. Was he not doing a good job? Am I crazy? When did
Yeah,
we get Jake Bailey?
he was meh. I mean, I wouldn't say he was the best punter in the league last year, but he was okay.
Yeah, I mean,
He
it's
was
not like it's
he
Jake
he he
Bailey.
was service he was serviceable enough. I mean, if you needed a clutch kick, he was probably only, out of 1 every 5 punts, you need one of those to be clutch. You know, he's probably going on to 3 out of 5, right? It's meh. It's
Yeah,
okay. You know,
I
needed to be
mean, hey,
better.
always, but at the same time, we'll take it. We'll move on and
Mhm.
we'll see what happens in free agency because I have a good feeling about free agency at this point. Let's also see what happens around the league as well. Um, the Miami Dolphins have recently met with Jonnu Smith. They might sign Jonnu. That'll
Okay.
be interesting considering they're in a worse cap situation than we are because now we're in good shape. We're better shape. We're not in good shape, but we're in better shape. Maybe with the Josh Allen restructure and a Teron Johnson extension. Please extend Teron Johnson. Please extend my favorite defensive player. Bean, if you're listening, extend my favorite defensive player. I beg. Please extend him. Um, who knows what happens now? You get a little more money to play with. Sky's the limit. And I am thoroughly going to enjoy this. So,
Yes. Alright,
yeah,
I
let's move on to
have
the next topic because we've got some good, very, very good topics tonight.
we do have some good topics. Before we move on, let's give you a taste of what I'm thinking on what the Bills could do on free agency. Just on a quick note, I was thinking Kevin Byard. Right now,
Kevin Byard?
Byard. His I'm going based off their market value here. I'm not implementing if they would take less or more. I'm just going off spot tracks market value, and I'm just subtracting it off 25 million, which is the suspected ratio right now where the Bills might be at. 7.2 for 1 year might be too much for for the Bills to do at this point.
Eh,
Maybe they'll pass off on it. I was thinking Kevin Byard for 1 year. You resign Daquan Jones. His cap hits at 2 million. You could do that for 2 years if you want to do one. I was probably
mhm.
thinking. His cap hits actually 6.8. Sorry, I'm messing this all up.
Come on,
So
Paul.
you probably do that for 1 year. Then you do AJ Epinesa for his market value 5.6 million
Oh,
for
yeah.
3 years.
Please
Lock
resign
him
my
up for three
boy.
years. That would either leave you with enough money to not to resign, sign a low budget depth receiver like Zacchinius from the Eagles.
That's an
One
interesting
year,
name you bring up.
1 year 2.6. That
Okay,
would give you to down to 2.8. That would allow you to get one small budget person and then your draft picks.
okay.
Or you just say, who cares about the receiver? We got 11 draft picks, and we signed somebody like a Terrell Edmonds
Oh, please
in the
don't.
safe in the
Please don't
safety.
resign. Please don't sign Terrell Edmonds. I beg. They
Just
cannot
saying.
sign Terrell Edmonds. He had some very bad years. Let's not bring that on us. If you want the truth, Paul, if it was between re-signing Gabe Davis or signing Terrell Edmonds, I am re-signing Gabe Davis every single time. I am not I am not gonna watch Terrell Edmonds on this football team because he's bad. Now Tremaine Edmonds maybe, but not Terrell. Terrell is bad. Please just if we're gonna sign somebody, if we're gonna sign an Edmonds, good lord, just give me Tremaine back.
Right. At that point, just do that. All right, let's get into some of these other topics tonight. Obviously, if you, we have I'm looking at the viewer count tonight. Thank you all for you guys watching in. I'm seeing the viewer count continuously grow right now as I sit here and we talk about the Bills.
Yeah, we're
If
cooking with
if you
gas.
have any, like, free agent signings that you think would fit the Bills, or even what you think about some of these these resignings and these cuts the Bills made, and even the trade that they made with Ryan Bates. If you have, or like, maybe restructures the Bills should do, feel free to comment. We'll show it. We'll talk about it.
Mhm.
If we don't agree with it, we'll still talk about it. We'll talk about maybe a different way, or
Oh,
even if
yeah.
you agree with something you say, or you say something that we said that you completely hate and you disagree, we can have a small debate on the show. Always,
Absolutely.
always fun. So feel to comment. We'll keep the comments going. If you have anything, we'll show it to you. But we're going to continue
Absolutely.
moving on with the show. If you have comments on this too, go for it. We'll
Call me an
backtrack
idiot, I
and
don't care. I wanna hear it. Call
we'll,
me an idiot.
we'll Alright, that's we were gonna do this on the Monday show, but breaking news happened on Monday, so we just decided to say no with it. So let's go with this. What team will go from worst to first in their division in 2024?
Worst to first. Oh, man. There's a lot of good ones. There's also a lot of ones that you can absolutely write off, like the
Right?
Patriots. Write them off
Mhm.
right away. The Commanders, write them off right away. You wanna hear who my pick is for the worst to first? It's the Cincinnati Bengals. They
Okay,
went
that's probably
9
the
and 8.
obvious one.
That I mean, it's the easiest bet. Like, if you're gonna take a bet on a worst to first, it's easily the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, absolutely 100% Cincinnati. Baltimore may or may not regress. I feel like they will regress. Pittsburgh will hang around at probably 10 and 7 ish, 9 and 8 ish, because that's just Stiller football and that's the Stiller way. And Cleveland will, I guarantee you, might be hot, might be a hot take to say this. watch them suffer with Deshaun Watson at quarterback compared to Joe Flacco. Look how much better they played with Joe Flacco at quarterback compared to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
Like, Cleveland is not gonna be as good if they have Deshaun Watson playing at the level he was before the injury. So, I would take Cincinnati to go from worst to first because all it's gonna take for them to go from worst to first is a healthy Joe Burrow. That's the main thing they were missing most of the year.
Mhm.
Let's see. Who else is there that I'm thinking of? Last in the AFC South was the Titans, correct?
Yes,
Yeah, they're not going to go from worst to first. Last in the AFC West, I believe, was the Chargers.
it was.
That's a dark horse.
It is.
Maybe, maybe not, but I mean, I'm just not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes ever again. Like, I'm not. I
They
would
have
love
John
to, but
Harbaugh.
I'm not. Yeah, we've discussed this on the show plenty. Ben has, I
Mhm.
have. It's gonna be, it'll be a very high profile signing, and it is. But is he really gonna turn this franchise around in a single year, along with a healthy Herbert?
Probably not.
Maybe they contend in the AFC, but I don't see them going worst to first. They're a dark horse. Like you never know what could happen. But moving on to the other divisions. Last in the NFC North was the Actually, no, it wasn't who I thought it was. Who was last in the NFC North? Because it went
Carolina.
Lions, Packers,
Oh,
was it Bears, then Vikings, or Vikings, then Bears? Because entirely forget who was last.
Bears.
Oh, it was the Bears?
Bears went
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
no,
Bears were last.
that's not happening. That's not a worst to first I'd go wager money on. Let's see. And that was NFC North. NFC South is the Panthers? Absolutely not. You'd have to be a madman to think they'd go worst to first. NFC East was the Commanders. I already said no, absolutely
No,
not. And then NFC West
Cardinals.
was the Cardinals. Absolutely not. I mean, they will get better with Marvin Harrison Jr. if they draft Marvin Harrison Jr. and keep Kyler Murray. But is this a franchise that's known for making smart decisions? No,
Not really, no.
no,
No.
they're not. But it's okay. Poverty franchises stay poverty for a reason. But this is going to be a fairly interesting time now because out of all the teams, there's like I said, there's only two that I could see going worst to first: Bengals and Chargers. That's it. But there always seems to be a team that surprises people. So who knows? This might bite me later. And if it
Why not
does, tell me.
why not the Titans? Like, that
They
AFC,
suck.
even though the AFC South is probably going to be dominated by the Colts and the Texans maybe for the next 2, 3 years before the Titans can start actually getting good again. I'm not obviously counting the Jags, but I don't know what direction the Jags are going to be going in within the next couple of seasons because is Trevor Lawrence the real thing? That's all off
Yes.
season to talk about the AFC South and the direction of that division maybe being the best division in football soon. But the Titans, why not? I believe they could probably maybe doesn't didn't DeAndre Hopkins sign a 2-year contract last year or was it a 1 year?
I think 2 years. I
So
don't
they still
quite
have
remember off the top of my head.
so they might have a they might still have DeAndre Hopkins. Let's just go off that. They have Will Levis, who looked pretty good in his rookie debuts. In his games, he came back and beat the Miami Dolphins, helped the Buffalo Bills win their division.
Haha. Yep.
So so they're
They
not
gave up 14
in a
points
bad
in 3
spot.
minutes, Paul. Don't forget, they gave up 14 points in 3 minutes and then
They're
lost
not
the
in a
game
bad
because Tua
spot,
has no
the
mobility.
Titans. They're not in a bad spot that they're
No,
just losing Derrick Henry and maybe a
maybe,
couple other players.
Bill.
Maybe if they find a way to get Derrick Henry back,
Maybe, maybe
maybe
not, but
they're a better chance of going worst to first, but you just don't know what the other 3 teams are going to do and how they're going to, because I feel like the AFC South is gonna turn into the AFC North. It's just teams are just gonna
Mm.
beat each other up.
Oh,
That
man.
conference is you're most likely going 3 and 3 at best, 4 and 2 most seasons. Maybe you
Perhaps.
escape 5 and 1.
Perhaps, but I just don't see it. I
Mhm.
really don't. What was the next topic you had, Paul? Because you were cooking with these topic choices. Actually, wait, no,
I
I
was.
had a few, but you were cooking
I
with a
got it.
lot of these.
Alright. Good to great. Who was that team that was good last year? Like, they were good. You had your eyeballs open on them. They weren't great. But
Hmm.
in an off season, they're gonna go from good to great. Who's that team?
Good to great in the off season. Oh man,
Just in 2024. Good to great in 2024. Because obviously the offseason and how they draft all indicates in how they're gonna
yeah.
do in 2024. So who goes from good to great in
Hmm.
2024?
Plenty of choices. Uh,
Plenty.
I'm gonna have to say the obvious one yet again, though. Cincinnati.
Okay.
They were
Okay.
9-8 without Joe Burrow most of the year. Once they
True.
get Joe Burrow back, this is a 12-win team all over again.
Mhm.
Maybe 11 to 12 wins. Maybe at best 13 wins.
Okay.
But like I said, the NFL is full of surprises. You just
It
never know
is.
what's really going to happen. I'm going to wait a little bit and see what happens in uh free agency before I make this next claim, but the next claim would be the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they have the potential to go from good to great, but
Mhm.
are they going to be able to retain the players they need to retain? That's the
Right.
question. The big one being Calvin Ridley, because they're trying their hardest to retain Josh Allen. They franchise tagged him,
They
and I
do.
know from talking to people that they want to keep him in Jacksonville no matter what. That is the priority there. And if they keep him, they keep him, but he will most likely be playing under the tag, resulting in somebody else walking. So
Yeah.
it's a team with potential to go from good to great. The Bengals are a surefire bet as long as Burrow stays healthy. And I know the Chargers weren't great or they weren't good because Herbert was out most of the year
True.
and Easton Stick played like garbage most of
Play
the
like a
time.
stick.
Yeah, he played like a dead stick. Yeah, you got it. And then that is a team that could, another team with a lot of potential, go from good to great. I mean, they were already good. Now, who knows how they add in free agency in the draft? And with Jim Harbaugh, maybe they do go
Mhm.
from a good team to a great team. And I use good, lightly because without Herbert, they weren't good.
Right.
But we'll see exactly what happens later on because I'm very curious to see just how the teams are going to tackle free agency now, especially with the cap being a lot larger than people thought it was going to be.
Absolutely. That team that I think goes good to great, I had an agenda on all off season, all of last year was the Green Bay Packers. They
Oh,
weren't
yeah.
great last year. They were just good. They slipped into the playoffs. They got hot at the right moment, and they got into the playoffs and they destroyed the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. That's the moment when you realize the Green Bay Packers might be better with Jordan Love than the entire time Aaron Rodgers might have been there. Yeah, they won a championship with Aaron Rodgers, but you would really just say those teams with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay were just good teams. They just had Aaron Rodgers at quarterback that carried them through, and frankly, so they probably also had some good defenses mixed in up in there.
They
Jordan
really
Love
did.
Jordan Love has a chance to make the Green Bay Packers great.
Oh,
he has that chance with Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson and that defense, Aaron Jones and Matt LaFleur, head coach. He has a chance to take this Green Bay Packers team from good to great in 2024 and keep them great for a long time.
mhm.
And this obviously is not the end of my Green Bay agenda.
You
It's
and
going
Ben,
to
same
continue.
agenda. Pretty sure Ben had the same agenda you did, Paul, is the Green Bay agenda. And hey, you are right. I think they
I
could
was
actually
called a
become a good
fool last off season for believing in these guys. I think in my initial power rankings last year, before the season even started, I think I had them pretty high, and there everyone else was like, "You have them
Mhm.
way too high." I'm like, mm, no, you just watch the games, just watch them. They didn't start off good. I looked like a complete idiot for the first few games of the year,
Yeah, I
and
know.
then it, and then they shortened up a bit.
Indeed, they
All right,
did. You wanna hear an interesting fact really quickly before we move on? Do
go
you know
for
who
it.
the oldest player on the Bills offense is right now with everything that's gone on?
Give me a second.
No, don't look it up.
I'm
Don't
not. I'm literally sitting here trying to think.
Oh, you're trying to think.
Stephon
Okay.
Diggs.
Yeah, it's Stephon
Stephon.
Diggs.
Why
At
did I
30
think it?
years old, 30-year-old Stephon Diggs is now the oldest player on the Bills offense now. Let that sink
He's
in for
about.
just a minute.
It's, he's about to be 31, isn't he? Oh
I
yeah, in
think so,
August.
yes. Yeah, in August, he'll be 31, and he is
How old
now
is Mitch
the
Morse?
oldest player on our offense. The youth movement is here, and I love it.
Oh,
Keep
I
cooking,
absolutely
B.
love
Keep
it.
making this team young and cheap. We get those
Mitch Morse was 31.
Yeah, and he's gone now. So now it's Stephon Diggs.
Jeez. I mean, Mitch Morse
Amazing.
wasn't that old, to
No,
be
he really
quite
wasn't.
fair. He just had injury concerns,
Mhm.
and he also carried a big cap.
Yeah, the cap is
Remember?
the reason he was cut.
Yeah,
Absolutely was.
he wasn't the cap casualty I was expecting.
No, me
Out
neither.
of Mitch Morse and Jordan Poyer, if you would have told me 2 months ago who I expected to be released, Mitch Morse or Jordan Poyer as a cap casualty, it was Jordan Poyer.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I wasn't thinking 1 ounce about, you know, Mitch Morse going. I mean, we kind of indicated at the beginning of the show when we first started this was like Mitch Morse was the heart and soul of this offensive line.
Mhm.
He's was just Josh Allen's center for what the last 6 seasons. Basically, when Josh Allen came into the league, that's Mitch Morse. That was when Mitch Morse really was the indicator for the Bills and that offensive line. He's probably
Mhm.
been the most consistent offensive lineman. You
And
know,
he is gone.
he's just
Who knows what
gone.
happens after the fact? Maybe they bring him back as I heard flying around Bill's Mafia today, but we'll see what happens later on. And for now, we move on to the next topic because the
Yeah.
next topic, uh, keep cooking with gas, Paul. Keep cooking with
All right.
gas.
Our next topic of would be our final topic of the night. Normally we don't. Normally we try to keep Connor shakes right around 45 minutes to about 50 minutes max. We might go a little over tonight since it's live, and
As
who
we
knows
should.
if the Bills. Who knows if the Bills will make another move within the next 15 minutes. All right. So we had Bills. We talked free agency a little bit. We talked we're best to first, worst to first. Let's get into the draft because that's top of everyone's mind. We could make this,
Mhm.
you know, a make this an NFL wide thing, and we can dwindle it down all the way to the Bills. We talked a lot about these players on Monday's show. If you haven't watched it, go back to our YouTube channel and watch it, or even listen
Mhm.
to it on our audio platforms. Was these FSU players like Florida State downright give them props. They were everywhere at the
Mhm.
combine. Texas was up there too. Like Florida State and Texas Just imagine that was the national championship. That
What,
would
you mean
probably
how
would have
it should
been
have been?
it should
How
have been.
Jenna and
We're
I should
not
have been yelling at each other for a natty all night long?
Oh, man,
Yeah,
that would have been awesome.
that would have been
That
incredible,
would
and
have
that's what we should have
that
got.
would have
That would have
been maybe the best that would probably been the best national championships anyone could ask for during the entire saga of the 14 playoff. That probably would have been like a
that would have been a
45-42
hot
ending, and
playoff. That would have been a hot national championship, let's be completely
it
for
would be
real.
great.
But
Just because how look at these players that showed out at
mhm,
the combine.
it
Alright,
was a
we're gonna
lot it was a lot of our defense. Like, our
oh, it was.
defense showed up and showed out during the combine. Like,
Mhm,
I could get into another long tirade about how FSU got robbed from their chance to compete for a national championship just because of one guy getting injured, when Jordan Travis was not the only cog in the wheel that made FSU an undefeated team. Like,
absolutely.
moving on to that, a lot of players on that undefeated ACC championship team entering the draft are not really being looked at. Like, you got
Mhm,
some that are being looked at, of course, Keon Coleman. Of course, he didn't have the most flashy combine. His 40 time left a lot of concern among people tweeting and among the people that were actually there. But his gauntlet drill was incredible. As a matter
mhm,
of fact, he had a better gauntlet drill than Troy Franklin did. And Troy Franklin was the mocked wide receiver to the Bills that I had seen a lot of. And yet, Keon Coleman outdid him in the gauntlet. Let's just be for real. Keon
he
Coleman,
did.
his draft stock is, I'd say it's still probably about where it originally was, late first, early second round pick. He didn't really do anything to improve his stock. He went into the combine a question mark, and he left it a question mark because of the mixed bag of results that you got out of him. The bad 40, but the great gauntlet. It left a lot to be considered. But even then, that's not the guy who's really turning heads. That's Braden Fisk.
Oh, yeah.
Braden Fisk in during that defense day at the combine. Oh my god. He was incredible. He raised his stock by a lot. Let's be completely honest. I would have killed to have gotten Braden Fisk in the second round. And maybe we still can. I'm not
Mhm,
entirely sure if we can now or not. I feel like at this point, his stock has gone up so high that we're not going to be able to take him. Like, he
most
is going
likely,
to
yeah.
be gone by the time we get around to it. So, let's see. Another name that we aren't really talking about. Some people probably are, but I know a lot of people aren't, at least not from what I've seen, was Keon Coleman's right hand man at FSU, Johnny Wilson. I have seen Johnny Wilson mostly going in the third round, but if we manage to get Johnny Wilson, even over a guy like, you know, if Javon Baker's gone by then, or if Roman Wilson is gone by then,
Mhm,
don't sleep on Johnny Wilson. Johnny Wilson is a big guy, like a really big physical guy. If you want to see a wide receiver that can jump up there and just yank the ball right out of the air when you got like four guys around him because he's so huge, yeah, you get Johnny Wilson. And the amazing thing is too, like I was talking to some others in Bills Mafia about Johnny Wilson. They were like, "Oh, you think Johnny Wilson would convert to tight end?" I was like, "I don't think he would convert, but at the same time, he's big enough to where you practically could run him as a third tight end. he
Mhm.
probably wouldn't convert, but you just got to get Josh Allen more weapons. And if you get him a guy like that, oh my God. I'm just imagining. And Ben said this. I Ben said this, and then I rolled with it. Imagine a draft with Keon Coleman as our round one pick, Braden
Mhm.
Fisk as our round two pick, and Johnny Wilson as our round three pick. At this point,
Whew.
turn us into the Buffalo Seminoles.
Ha.
But that's not a bad thing. The Seminoles went undefeated and won the conference. The
Right.
Bills can win this conference with the right moves. If we have to siphon a little bit of that energy, then let's siphon all of it. Maybe not the
Right.
undefeated bit. Maybe I think we'll never see another undefeated season again. I think the 72 Dolphins will be popping champagne for the rest of their lives. But
Absolutely.
a season where we can get the 1 seed and win the conference, not out of the question as long as we make the right moves.
Right.
And if we have to siphon some of that Seminoles energy, let's siphon some of that Seminoles energy. I am all for it. And as a matter of fact, there were others that I wanted to discuss. I recently did a mock draft not too long ago. Let me see if I can find it again. I actually talked about this one on Monday, Paul. Do you remember that one?
The newer one or just the
N-
latest one you did?
No, no, the last one I did. No, the new one I did. Oh, shoot. I don't even remember who I picked in that one anymore. I tried just out of pure boredom to do a full wide receiver mock draft, and
Okay.
it was kind of weird. Like um I was not cooking with that one because at some point I was like, "Wait, who are these guys? Let's just go
Yeah,
all
at
wide receiver in the draft at this point." But I am trying to find it because there were some fairly interesting names that we had in FSU that are going to be in the draft that'll be about, in the 5th, 6th, even 7th round picks.
mhm.
But there was also somebody else that he's not on the Bills radar. I definitely don't think he's on the Bills radar because we don't really need a running back. But Trey Benson
Oh, yeah.
was our premier running back, and he ran over everyone at FSU. Everyone. He will be a pretty good option for somebody. I believe last I saw he was around a late second, early third round pick, maybe. I don't know. I've seen him go higher than that on some boards, but maybe not. But Trey Benson is going to be huge to a team with a very needy uh, running back room. Let's be very honest. And then that's just the offensive players. I know we talked about Braden Fisk.
Man, he would be
I
something.
Yes, he really, really would be.
I mean, just
But
his ability,
mhm,
his
and he's the one
his
we could
he's
reasonably
fast.
get. But here's the other thing that I want to talk about really quickly. Braden Fisk is only going to be there because of who he was beside. Jared Verse was a human wrecking ball going through offensive linemen at FSU. If he somehow managed to fall around 20, that would
Oh,
be the
man.
only time I would ever be like, Buffalo, Bean, Bean, trade up and get it,
Yeah,
trade up and
absolutely.
like, that is the one guy on defense that I would take in round 1 if he fell that far. Like, at
Would
that
think
point,
he would
I'm,
have
like,
to
all in. I'd be so all in just to get him right there. Jared Verse was a freak.
He was.
Absolute monster. He and Braden Fisk are what made FSU's defense the best in the nation. I don't exaggerate when I say this. The best defense in the country was Florida State.
Oh, it certainly was. I mean, if you watched college football last year, I mean, your Florida State's holding teams to what I think at one point what's like 17 points a game. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
you talk about Georgia's defense from a few years ago. I mean, that's basically was Florida State's defense last year.
it was. We were on fire on the defensive side of the ball. And all those defensive players going into the league now, oh my God. They are going to make some noise in the season. I promise. Especially Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. If I could just get one of them, we'd be cooking with so much gas. Like Jared Verse falling all the way to us, like all the way to 28, I doubt that happens. I
Oh yeah.
really do. But if he gets to around the 20s, I say go for it. Trade up, grab him, and you have a absolute wrecking ball on defense. And the best part about all of it, you'd be set at the position for years. I mean years. Oh man, just thinking about it. I am on the wide receiver in round 1 train. I have been because I don't know of anybody else that would be a good defensive prospect. But man, Jared Verse, fall just a little bit. Let's have another situation like Laramie Tunsil got himself in a few years ago with a gas mask and a bong. Watch him fall all the way down to pick 28 and bang, defense made
You
for
just want
years.
him so bad.
I do. I mean,
I mean,
Jared Verse or Braden Fisk, oh my God,
if I
we'd be
was
cooking.
if I was committed to a, a college football program, not just not being, obviously I cheer for Florida State and Texas because you and Jenna are close friends, and I would cheer for them. Fundamentally would cheer. Am I a hardcore in dive fan? No, I mean it's still college football. I follow it and I just watch it because I like college football. If I was in your shoes, I would be clamoring all over these Florida State guys like the Bills have to get this guy because this is how good he was with Florida State.
Hmm.
One thing I will retract is that what you did in college might not what you be able to do in the NFL. And I
Perhaps,
guess
and I mean
that's
that's true with anybody.
right. I mean, that's true with even Marvin Harrison Jr., even Caleb Williams, who are supposed to be the 1-2 guy of this year. What
Caleb
Marvin
Williams.
Harrison Jr. did with at Ohio State with Kyle McCord throwing in the football last year may not be the same as what he might do with Kyler Murray throwing him the football possibly in Arizona, or what
Hmm.
Caleb Williams could do throwing to whoever any of one of the receivers in Chicago. I
Precisely.
don't precisely. But you never know.
No, you don't. But I will continuously beat the table, literally,
Do it.
for my guys at FSU to come to
You have
Buffalo for 2 reasons. 2 reasons. 1, they're entering a very well they're entering a very well coached environment with great culture. I don't want anything to be taken away from that. And on top of that, they're all going to a team with a real shot at the ring that matters most. They got screwed out of their chance to win a national championship, but as we all know, a Super Bowl means so much more than that.
yeah.
Them going to the Bills is one of their best shots to win the real prize. Let me cook when I say that if we could do what the Eagles did a few years ago, and just draft like all those players from one school and just like I said, siphon that culture, we'd be set. All of
Yeah,
them getting their rings again would just be glorious. But that's
certainly
the
would.
last I will talk about the Seminoles. I will
That's good.
most likely wind up coming back to them more closer to the draft. But
Yeah.
for right now, just I want my boys to come to Buffalo because they'll get their real shot at a ring.
Absolutely. I mean, what a day Wednesday, March 6th has been.
This will go
I
down in
mean,
Bills history.
you talk about March Madness that's supposed to start just roughly 13 days away from now, March 19th.
Oh yeah, you're
The
right.
Bills have s- the Bills have started March Madness early. They realized it was March. They realized they just want full media NFL content domination, and they are currently just dominating all platforms at this moment. And they're just ruling Twitter. Just imagine if something open breaks overnight, like something
Oh
big
man,
overnight, and you try to open your Twitter app in the morning tomorrow, and you're like, why isn't it not opening? You know why?
what's
Bills fans
broken?
broke
Oh
it.
wait a minute. No, you know what's funny is LinkedIn went down earlier today around the time the Bills were releasing everybody. And I'm just like, good job, Bede. You broke LinkedIn because now all these Bills players have to go talking about,
Unjob.
hey, I'm looking for work again. Oh,
They
jeez.
have to put in the found looking for a job circle around their LinkedIn.
Yep,
T Hey, I need a job, guys. What
exactly.
who's
It's just
available? Oh,
for
man, but
real.
it's
And they
been a
broke
day.
LinkedIn. It has. And I am all for it.
More to come.
S- Sentimental, yes, but all for it nonetheless. What a week in
I'm here
sports
f
it's been for what a
Oh, man,
week in sports
and
it's
it's only
actually
Wednesday.
been. And it's
It's only
yeah,
Wednesday.
exactly. It's only friggin' Wednesday.
And Fridays are normally Mondays and Fridays are normally the news dump days. It's like the NFL. Those are normally the occasional. Okay, we're going to go into Friday. We're going to go into weekend with news, so we can have people talking about something over the weekend.
Mhm.
Then we're going to start the week news dump on Monday, so we can carry in the rest of the week. It's like if you think about the script writers, if you still think that's the case in the NFL, that's the NFL's content schedule. This
Maybe it
is what
is.
the NFL wants us to talk about. But we're also back again live on Monday. I
Oh,
believe we're
yes.
also going to be live next Wednesday as well. Hopefully both days will be
Mhm,
guest filled days. Next week we have Dean from the Buffalo fan base coming on, obviously talking a lot about the NFL draft.
mhm,
He'll probably have some insight on who the Bills could possibly be targeting in the NFL draft now. Some holes have arrived at depth defense,
mhm,
at depth, O line, and especially at safety, where it's not that deep this year. He might have some insight of where the Bills could go. Obviously, receiver is still big topic in Buffalo Bills fan base. So he will be on Monday at 7 o'clock. So be here, watch, comment, interact with us on next Monday. He'll be here with us for about a half hour. Following
mhm.
Wednesday is the start of the new year,
The
March
new league year, he
13th.
means.
New, yeah, new NFL league year. We're trying to work out a guest for that day. If not, it will just be the traditional. It will be everyone of the cover one. My goodness, I was I
Hey,
miss I
shout out to
miss
Cover
that.
One, though. They
Oh, shout out to they did. I think they announced they were in the weeds of the David Edwards signing.
mhm.
But
They
the
were
Undercovers
indeed.
podcast crew would be here. Will be here on Wednesday. Which just might just be us. Might be with a guest. Stay tuned to our Twitter platforms, indeed, for show updates and who might be on the show that day. Nothing else broke during the later half of the show, but to recap, a Bills filled day. Just a quick
Oh,
recap. Bills save about $36 million of cap this offseason currently right now with all their cuts and restructures. Notable cuts include Poyer, Morse, and White. Notable restructures are Douglas and Von Miller. The Bills still have more moves to make, like restructuring Josh Allen, Deion Dawkins, Stephon Diggs, and maybe extending Taron Johnson. Those will
hey,
come at a those will come at a later date. More cap space, more money for the Bills to possibly sign a splash receiver or even double dip at safety
please.
and receiver. With that, Connor's Takes first ever live edition has came to an end. We thank all the viewers that I've seen up in the top corner here today, and there's probably much more of you guys tuning in on a busy filled Wednesday.
Oh,
We
tell me about it.
appreciate every one of you tuning in, and remember, we're double dipping next week. So if you
Mhm.
want more Undercovers content, be here Monday, especially when we have that guest confirmed and lined up and ready to go at 7 o'clock Eastern, and then possibly a guest to roll in on Wednesday to start the NFL's new league year. It's a busy off season. It's ready to go. We're ready. You're ready. This the end of the show, and go Bills.
Go Bills!